بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه أما بعد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah to everyone. I'm here joined with Sheikh Dr. Abdul Rahim. He is better known as the author of the Medina books, the well-known Medina books that many of us have benefited from and studied. To have a more dense introduction or biography about the Sheikh, you guys can find it on the internet. However, I'll give you guys a little summary. So we could say that he has experience in the Arabic language for 50 years. He's been teaching for over 30 years. He's been the director of the Medina University as well. Of course, authored the books, many other books. However, the ones that we all know are the Medina books. He's currently the director as well of where they translate basically the Quran here in Medina. King Fahd, the organization of King Fahd, where they translate the Masahif. And inshallah, for you guys to know a little bit more about his books and the things he has accomplished and books he has authored, you guys can do a quick search on the internet because the biography is well known. So I'm honored يا شيخ وأشكركم كذلك على وقتكم وجزاكم الله خير على الجهد المبذول في هذه اللغة الجميلة التي تتحفظ بها القرآن وفهم السنة. So inshallah, I would let the Sheikh first of all, if he wills to perhaps introduce himself a little bit in terms of where you guys where you studied from the beginning of your early age. How did it come about, since you are originally from India and India is well known that they don't speak Arabic? How did originally perhaps the intention of learning Arabic and how you learned Arabic growing up?
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. Very glad to be this morning with Brother Muhammad Al-Andalusi who has been engaged in teaching Arabic. With regard to my interest in Arabic and my learning Arabic, of course in India we have two types of educational system. One is the regular education system where all the subjects are taught in English and there is no place for Arabic. At the university level, you can choose one of the subjects, one of the languages, and that can be Arabic. But that is very little. The other system of education is the what we call madrasa system. We have lots of madrasas in different parts of India where they teach Arabic and Islamic sciences, and it's completely a different system. Usually they teach Arabic grammar from the classical texts, and the main purpose of their learning Arabic is to understand the glorious Quran and the Hadith. And they are not very conversant with Arabic. Probably nowadays there is a change in the system, but earlier they only studied grammar from the very beginning, very detailed study of grammar. I was associated with the regular system. Okay. Regular system. I continue?
Yeah, it's fine.
And so I had no chance to study Arabic. But I was interested, and there were, of course, books available in English. I studied, of course, English. So I studied Arabic through these books, and was, alhamdulillah, I was able to learn the language. And later on, whenever there were Arab scholars coming to India, that I used to get in touch with them and try to speak Arabic with them. That is how I developed Arabic speech and all that. Later on, I studied at the world famous Azhar University.
In Egypt?
Egypt, yes.
Okay.
That was in 1964. I studied in the Faculty of Arabic Language. And fortunately for us, our Dean of the faculty was the very famous Sheikh Abdul Hamid, Muhyiddin Abdul Hamid, who has edited lots and lots of grammar texts. Very famous scholar. He was our dean for some time. So I had to do, first of all, I had done English MA in the University of Madras. So I was allowed to do MPhil at the Azhar University in Arabic. I did MPhil, and later on I did PhD.
Okay. So master's and then PhD?
Yes.
Okay.
They said PhD, you can't directly do PhD.
Okay.
You have to do MA. It's called MPhil there. So I did both this. And of course, there is a thesis also, both in MPhil and PhD. The MPhil thesis was Arabic Persian words in Arabic. Unfortunately, that book has not been published. In the PhD course, my thesis was the academic editing of the famous Al-Mu'arrab lil-Jawaliqi. It's a very famous book dealing with foreign words in Arabic. Al-Mu'arrab lil-Jawaliqi. So I edited this book, and he mentions words, this is Greek, this is Persian, this is Indian, but he doesn't give details of this information. So I had to, part of my work was to give the original word in these languages, in Greek or Hebrew or Aramaic, most of these words from these languages. That has been published by a Syrian publisher. It's out of stock now, but long back it was published.
So what is the name of the thesis you wrote?
The thesis was foreign words in Arabic.
Foreign words in Arabic.
Yeah, with the editing of Al-Marab al-Jawahir. So main work was to edit the book, and there was a very thorough introduction about foreign words and how they were treated by the Arabs when they took them in their language, and the languages from which the Arabs took. So that was a introduction to the study.
The Sheikh, the scholar is more Al-Zawaliqi.
Jawaliqi.
Al-Jawaliqi.
Al-Jawaliqi, he is a 5th century scholar. Al-Jawaliqi.
So after your PhD?
Yeah, after the PhD, there was in those days, 1966, there was a new university established in Sudan, Durman. It was called the Islamic University of Durman, Jamiat Durman al-Islamiyya. So it was a completely new university, and they didn't have faculty members. So they took all the faculty members from Egypt. At the time I was in Egypt. So I also applied. They wanted a teacher of English, but teaching English through Arabic. So I was taken to teach English through Arabic, and I worked there for 3 years, from 66 to 69. In 69, I had applied to the Islamic University of Medina. At the time, the president of the university was Sheikh Ibn Baz, Allah yarhamuh. Yes. So I wrote a letter to him asking if I can come and teach Arabic to the foreign students, non-Arab students who joined the university. And he sent me a letter of acceptance, and so in 1966 I joined Islamic University. So my work at the university at that time was teaching the students. There was no system of teaching at that time. There was a sheikh from Syria, Ahmad. His name was Ahmad. He taught only students who had a little bit of Arabic with them, and they could understand his language. So there were a lot of students who had no teacher, and they were just sitting there doing nothing because there was no teacher, and they didn't find a teacher who could teach them in Arabic through English or through the languages. So when I applied, the Sheikh immediately accepted me, and he began to teach these students. Of course, there were different levels. There were students who did not know how to write. They did not know the letters. I taught them the letters. There were some who had a little bit of knowledge of Arabic. So I had different sections. I taught them. And then I began to write this book, Nur-E-Safa al-Arabiyya, to teach these students.
How long did it took you to put
It was about 5-6 years. Every day I used to write the lesson, and then with the help of the cyclo-styling. In those days, they were. So we used to make copies of this lesson. So every day I wrote a lesson, every day I wrote a lesson. And that is how it took about 5-6 years to complete the book, 3 parts. And then the university authorities, they invited me one day and they said, we get lots of inquiries about the book that you teach, and we would like to have it published. I said, yes, I have manuscript. I'm teaching this book. And yes. So they said, okay. So they first published the first book, first part. And of course we used it in the school, the Arabic program. And they also sent it to other countries where Arabic is taught. Second part later on, and third part, all these 3 parts were published. And that is how the book became used, first of all in our program, Arabic program, later on outside the program. And then many of the students who learned from this program, they wanted to have the book published in their countries. So they asked me, it was my copyright, I was owned by me. So I gave them permission to publish in their countries without any monetary so they published it in their countries. The first, I think, was published by in Russia. I was a student, Russian student. And later on in India also it was published. And other countries also. So that is how the book spread. And later on I wrote a key in English to introduce the subjects that I teach in each lesson. So I said the purpose of this lesson is to teach such and such thing.
Kind of like rules for the teacher.
Yes. No, there was a separate book for teachers.
Okay.
Teacher's book. But the key was grammatical analysis of the lessons.
Okay.
Yeah. And key, and then teacher's book, and then Halu Tamarin, answers to the exercises. That was also published. And then I wrote a book called Glossary of Words Used in the Book, with English translation. That was also published. So
the glossary was the Arabic words that were a little complicated, translated to English?
yes, all the words that were used in my book,
Okay.
all the 3 parts, all the words used in the book, I have mentioned them alphabetically.
Okay.
And translated them into English, and with some grammatical notes also. For example, if it is a word is mamnu min as-sarf, I wrote this. Yes, I pointed out that this word is mamnu min as-sarf. If there is a plural, for example, buyut, I said it is on the measure of fu'ul, like that. Later on, in Canada, there was a brother by name Asif Meher Ali. Asif Meher Ali. He was an Indian of Pakistani origin, but he had settled down in Canada. And
What city?
in Toronto.
Okay.
Yeah. once he visited me during the month of Ramadan. Before the breakfast, I got a telephone call. The man, I did not know him. He said, I am in the bus stop and I'd like to see you because after the Maghrib prayer, I have to go back to Mecca. I have no time. I came with a group of students from Jordan University. And I took some time to come to Medina for an hour or two, and I have to go back immediately after the Maghrib prayer. I want to see you just now. So I sent a car and he came. And he said, I was interested in learning Arabic. I tried. Later on, I was told that the Jordan University offers a course. So I went to Jordan. When I went to Jordan, they were teaching the book prepared by Al-Qura University. The book, he said, is very, very difficult. And in the class, there are students who want to learn Arabic for purpose of business or Christian missionaries who want to use it for converting Muslims. And the book doesn't help us. It's very difficult. One of the students had a book. He said it's very useful. I took it from him and then photocopied the book. It was by one V. Abdul Rahim. So I went to the Imam of the mosque where I was staying, and I told him I want to learn from you. He was a teacher of Arabic. He knew English. He was a Palestinian, and he was the Imam of the mosque also. He said, okay, you give me the books, I will find out. So I gave him, he says, both the books, the book that is being used at the university, and the book which I found from the student. He took the books. Second day he came and he said, I have read the books. The university book has been prepared by about 10 scholars of Arabic of very high standing. But unfortunately, they don't know how to teach Arabic to non-Arabs. The other book, which is written by one single man, he knows how to teach Arabic to non-Arabs. I will teach you that book. So he taught him all the three books, all the three parts. And later on, he was not actually, attending the classes but he had to pay the fees and all that because he could not stay there without being a student. So he was a student, but he was learning at the Imam's house. Yeah. Later on, he went back. When he went back, he started teaching Arabic in a mosque.
Went back to Pakistan?
No, to Canada.
Oh, okay.
Toronto, yes. And it took, the whole course took 2 years. And at the end of the course, he invited me to the convocation. I went there, and then I told him, in the congregation, that I think that very shortly, Toronto will become the Mecca of Arabic learning in North America. And it has become so. Now in every mosque there is a class. And yes, in Islamic centers and mosques and all. A lot of people are teaching Arabic and using my book. So it is actually, it has become the center of Arabic learning in North America. So I have given you the history of how I learned Arabic and how I started teaching in Islamic University of Medina. And in Toronto, I have been there for several times. And many of my lectures on grammar were prepared there.
Okay. What was your longest stay in Toronto?
About 2 months.
Okay.
Yeah, because when I have holidays at the university, I used to go there.
How do you find the weather there?
Weather, I was not in the
Okay.
in winter. Winter will be very difficult.
Okay.
It was usually summer, and no problem.
Okay, inshallah. Let me just make sure this is good. Okay, I have a few.
It's being recorded.
Yes. So in terms of when they first the problem that I have and something that I always call and emphasize a lot on is that many students, well, I actually see many institutions, many different books, many teachers, they just start very heavily with the students trying to make them understand grammar, Arabic grammar. Especially something that I see a lot is trying to make them understand Arabic grammar in English. So, first of all, what do you think about this approach as an expert in epistemology? Is that how you pronounce it? Epistemology in languages, in foreign languages. How do you see that being effective or not effective when teaching any language, starting with grammar instead of whatever else should be started with?
See, languages are not taught with the help of grammar. Only dead languages are taught with the help of grammar, like Latin, like Hebrew in those days, but Hebrew has become a living language now. But Syriac, Sanskrit, these languages, they are not spoken, and especially Latin. So they teach only grammar. But living languages like Arabic and like Spanish and all that, they are taught with what we call applied grammar. You select a particular subject, the easiest part of the language, and you teach them without giving the grammar, but behind the sentences that you use, there is grammatical coherence. The teacher knows it, and the man who wrote the book also, yes, he has opposed the idea behind these sentences. So that is how it is taught. You see, in languages, you ask people, what language are you learning? He says, I'm learning Spanish, I'm learning French, I'm learning Russian. But if you ask a man who's learning Arabic, he doesn't say, I'm learning Arabic. He says, I'm learning Arabic grammar. That's the mindset which is wrong. You start from the beginning, you say Arabic has got 3 parts of speech. They start with details of these parts of speech and all that. Not a sentence, not one sentence is being taught. Living language of Arabic, they don't teach. They only teach grammar. So that is a very wrong approach, the wrong mindset. what we teach, the moment you teach Arabic sentences, هذا كتاب هذا قلم كذا, the students, feels that he's learning something. He's learning a new language, and that gives him impetus to learn more. But our brother Meher Ali, who is teaching in Toronto, his famous saying is, we teach Arabic with smiling faces. Not with long faces, sitting and thinking about. Yeah. So that is how it should be taught. And his method he has recorded all his lectures, which are available in 48 lectures, 48 DVDs. And students are learning from this. He makes learning, a pleasant exercise.
So would you say, Sheikh, that you've said and from what I've heard that you used to do when you used to teach when, for example, you used to teach English in Arabic for Arab students. Personally, I think that Arabic could be taught in Arabic to foreign students. In the beginning, it might be a little complicated, and the student might ask himself, how am I even going to be able to speak Arabic if I don't understand the teacher explaining me things in Arabic? Would you think that is possible to teach Arabic through Arabic, or would you say it's more beneficial to teach Arabic through English? And if that's the case, for how long until we switch to completely Arabic?
You see, language should be taught directly, by a direct method. Yes. So for this, it requires that the syllabus should be prepared in such a way that you don't need another language. So, for example, in my book, هذا كتاب هذا قلم, it doesn't need any language. You can directly teach these words. In the same way, when it comes to هذا بلال وهذه عائشة. I have one of my principles that I have followed is تقديم الأصول على الفروع. تقديم الأصول على الفروع. In books written by the Arabs, you find هذا محمد وهذه آمنة, and they teach without vowel endings. That is wrong. Many Egyptians and all these people, Arabs, they think, you can teach them without vowel endings, and then you teach them grammar. It's not, it doesn't work. The student learns the whole thing. هذا كتاب هذا قلم بالتنوين. And you say هذا قلم, the Arabic is هذا قلم هذا كتاب, and then they say we'll teach them the tanween. It's not going to work. The language should be taught completely. And so تقديم الأصول على الفروع. That means you teach them, for example, علامة الإعراب الأصلية. First, so many lessons, you teach only the علامة الأصلية. You don't mix, هذا محمد وهذه آمنة. They don't say آمنة, they say هذا محمد وهذه آمنة. That is wrong. He's not going to learn later on the grammar. That is why Arabs are not very, very strong in Arab. So because they learn, with taskin. Taskin is wrong. You teach them how. So in my system, the first lesson there is only masculine. Feminine comes later on. Hadi, Aminatu. And Aminatu, I teach them very simply. There are two lists. First list is the list of masculine nouns, masculine proper names. Other list containing names of feminine proper names. For example, Muhammadun, Aliyun, Abbasun. Another list, Aminatu, Khadijatu, Maryamu. And then only one sentence. Lady's name have only one Dhamma. It's not a problem.
Why do you think, Sheikh, that's so important in the very beginning, when the student perhaps might not have even enough vocabulary to even use that particular root? Why would it be so important for him to know in the beginning the vowels at the end?
Because it's part of the language. In Arabic, a very important part of the language is Arab. And if you teach them Hada Muhammad, Hadi Amina, later on he's not going to learn these grammatical fine points and grammar. So it's better a student doesn't find difficulty in learning this, because from the beginning you teach him this. But teaching him later on, and you say, we taught you at the beginning Hada Muhammad, it should be Hada Muhammadun. He's not going to learn again. One time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So wouldn't it be effective, for example, if for example, because I personally think from the languages that I have learned, that knowing the noun first, like for example, Tawilatun and Fatimatu, and a beginner student might ask, okay, but why is Fatima ending just with one tanween? I mean with one dhamma, and then Tawilatun is feminine as well, but it's ending with a double tanween. Why would I? And then they start they start thinking about all the rules, and they start and me personally, I think it distracts them from the main thing, which is understanding what those nouns mean. Wouldn't you think, Sheikh, that it would be beneficial maybe in the beginning to not distract them with like learning different meanings, to just let them memorize those different words? This is Fatima, this is Tawila, this is Nafida, and then later on explain to them that those usul and tanween, mamnu' min as-sarf, feminine is from the different types of mamnu' min as-sarf, etc. Wouldn't that be perhaps beneficial as well?
You see, you said tawilatun aminatu. There are two different things. You say men have two dhammas, ladies have, because ladies are weak, they can't carry two dhammas. We give them Arabic is very considerate with the ladies. It gives only one dhamma to carry. So tawilatun is different. It's not a proper name. You say men have two dhammas, ladies have one dhamma. No problem. Anybody can understand. You don't go into the details. Later on, I've got the third part. The last lesson is about mamnu' min as-sarf. It's very difficult. Later on you say Williamu. You say Williamu, he is a foreigner, he can't carry two dhammas. Yes, we give him only one. It's very simple.
No.
Yeah. If you have a proper name, list of names, masculine names, list of feminine names, and you say, the student will understand. But if you say Tawilatun and then Maryamu, there are two, it's like oranges and two different things. So you say Bilalun. I use always proper names which are very simple for non-Arabs to pronounce. Bilal is very simple. Bilalun Aminatu. Then you will understand that Bilal is a proper name, man's name. Amina is a lady's name. So say lady's name is only one Dhamma.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you say something that I've heard you mention is that Arabs, and which is something that I realized as well, this is why most of the teachers that teach at Andalus Institute, they mostly non-Arab. Because I feel like when you have gone through the process of learning the language, you actually know what the student needs in order for him to learn the language. So would you say that that to one extent non-Arabs are more qualified most of the times than Arabs to teach the Arabic language, especially in the very beginning in the very beginning stages, basically?
Yes, I completely agree with you. Because the non-Arabs know the problems that he faced when he learned the language, and he will avoid that. So non-Arabs are better suited to teach Arabic than the Arabs, because the Arabs, first of all, most of them, even if they are very, very careful, they they can't avoid using their dialect. It's very, at least in pronunciation, even if the syntax is correct, he won't pronounce the vowel and Kulthum, the famous singer, Yeah. So she once sang Iqbal's poetry in classical Arabic. Then when letters like Fa and Dal, she said, I can't do this. This is Bedouin language. I can't use it.
She couldn't pronounce it?
No.
Oh, she didn't want to?
She didn't want to. She didn't want to be seen as a Bedouin.
Wow. And Sheikh, would you as well, I wanted to ask you, in terms of when teaching the Arabic language, there are certain terms, like for example al-fi'l al-muta'addi wal-lazim, they actually carry a meaning, and there's a very specific reason why they were named after their names, or al-mamnu' min as-sarf, etc., etc. I personally think that it's very hard many times to translate that into English. This is why I don't agree with teachers giving names to these particular terms, and this is why I don't like either teaching Arabic grammar in English. Not because only it's very hard, but as well it makes it very confusing for the student, because the translated name might not carry a meaning. So would you say, when it comes to teaching Arabic grammar, perhaps other things like Hada Kitab, when you can tell the student this is a book, that's fine? Would you say that when it comes to grammar, it's very hard to teach it in English, and should it be taught in English?
No, very small things, basic things can be taught in Arabic. And like the
Basic things could be taught in Arabic or in English?
No, in Arabic. If there is any problem later on, you can use the language only to make him understand that particular thing.
Point out.
Yeah, but it's better to teach in Arabic, because each language has got its own system, which is different from the system of other languages. So it's better to teach grammar in Arabic. But grammar, most of the grammar things can be taught, can be simplified. You know what I mean? You need not teach, exactly as it is taught in grammar books. You can simplify. Yes. So, I've got one of the things here is fragmentation of the rule.
This one?
No, here. I'll give you later on.
Okay.
Fragmentation. For example, Mamnun stuff, there's a lot of details. You fragment. You teach, first of all, the first thing that a student needs is a lady's name. You know what I mean? You say lady's name is only one Dhamma. There's no problem. No, everybody can understand. If there's no other English, you can have a list of masculine names and another list of feminine names. So it's Bilalun, Basun, Aminatu.
With signs.
Yes, with signs. And the names that you select should be names well known to the students. Like Amina, Khadija, Maryam. You don't bring in letter names which are not known to them. So fragmentation. So you teach. Secondly, you come Edward, Williamu. You say Williamu. You will say Muhammadun, Adilun, Arabs. Williamu, not non-Arab, or more. So these things can be taught very in a simple language. Doesn't need you go into the details of these things. The problem is I see in the internet. From the beginning, Hada Kitabun, he says Mubtada, and that's nonsense. You teach them what it. If you say Hada Kitabun, the student will understand and see in the language. The most important thing is repetition, and language is a habit. Language is a habit. It's not a skill. Skill like driving. It's not a skill. It's a habit. So the more when I was teaching Hada Kitabun, Hada Qalun, I teach it, and later on one student gets up and he does as I did, another student. So the moment they go out of the class after 1 hour, they are able to speak this.
Through practice.
Yeah, practice. Yeah. قليل من I have got a rule. قليل من تقعيد يعني ruling, making rules. قليل من التقعيد وكثير من التمرين.
So what would you say, Sheikh, in terms of, there is a lot of students, foreign students, Western students, who say, because they want to understand the Quran and the Sunnah, which is the reason why they learn the Arabic language. So they say, for example, I don't need to practice speaking because I just want to understand the Quran and the Sunnah. I don't want to speak. How would you say that's a correct understanding and approach? Or is speaking as well important when it comes to learning a language, even if your main purpose is to understand the Quran and the Sunnah?
There are two things. First thing is, there's what is called learning language for a special purpose. So there are students, Indian students and foreign students, go to London. They learn, he is a scientist, he learns only the language that concerns science. Another, astronomy, he learns only the language concerned with the subject. So, the special purpose. So, if a man wants to learn Arabic for understanding Arabic, we can design a course wherein only Arabic Quranic words can be used. And grammar also. For example, Asma al-Khamsa. Al-Hanu, it's not used in the Quran. Then in Abaha or Abaha, it's not used in the Quran. So we'll teach him only the rules and the words that are used in the Quran. Then second question, speaking is a byproduct. If you teach them properly, only Quranic Arabic, he can be able to speak. You follow me? If you ask him questions, Ma hadha, afahimta hadha, so he'll be able to understand speaking. It's a byproduct.
It's almost automatic.
Yes. If you teach him properly, by a direct method, Quranic Arabic, he will learn Quranic Arabic plus speak.
Yeah, for sure. Because I think a lot of students, it's almost like an excuse. They almost see it as a waste of time. I don't want to spend time speaking or practicing my fluency when speaking. And I think it's just an excuse because they find it difficult. But me personally, I think that even, like for example, the word language, the word lugha, the word lisan, the word lengua in Spanish, the tongue, the Arabic tongue, I think is all related to the tongue, like to the speaking. No. And even when it comes to the Arab, one of the references al-wada. هل استعملوه العرب? Did they even use it? Of course they didn't, right? Much. So I think, in my opinion, is definitely important to speak as well.
Yes, definitely. The language of the Prophet ﷺ and the language of the Sahabas who spoke this language. So speaking Arabic is Sunnah. The Prophet spoke it. So it should be looked at from this point of view, that our forefathers, the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahabas, their language is Arabic. They spoke Arabic. So it is a learning to speak is a Sunnah.
So, Sheikh, when it comes to when you authored all of your books, was it all based on experience and what you've gone through, or was it based on someone else, one of your teachers, one of other books perhaps?
No, my book is based on what I faced while learning Arabic. So the problems that I faced, I tried to avoid them in my book. So it's all, I did not use anything from other books. It was purely based on my own experience. Yes.
In terms of so many people, they actually think they lose motivation because they look at all of these, perhaps طلاب العلم and all of these students of knowledge, and they all look like they speak so well Arabic now that they think there was an influence. Perhaps their parents spoke Arabic, or perhaps it's because they were in an Arab country or something like that. So I wanted to ask you personally, did your parents speak Arabic, or was any type of influence of you growing up, perhaps even, I don't know, watching cartoons, even if at that time I don't think there was TV, that made you and helped you to learn Arabic faster, or was it just purely based on your interactions with Arabs and travels?
No, my parents did not speak Arabic, and there was nobody in our locality who spoke Arabic. Even the Arabic scholars, as I told you, the madrasa, those who study in madrasas, they don't speak Arabic. The system they follow doesn't help them to speak Arabic. So in the beginning when I learned the language from the books, I did not speak Arabic, but later on when I interacted with Arabs who came from Arab countries, and so that is how I learned. Then the radio programs also helped me, and my personal, efforts to learn to speak. My environment did not help me at all.
And would you say, Sheikh, that when you went to Egypt, for example, did you benefit from the people outside in the street speaking Arabic, or was their dialect useless and you only benefited from your classmates and, as you said, your personal efforts?
When you are in a country, you are forced to learn the language of the people. You have to interact with the people. You have to. So, unfortunately, I also had to learn, but I had in my mind that I should preserve my correct Arabic. Even if I learn the dialect, I should preserve the correct Arabic which I have learned. So I was not completely, I did not completely forget the correct Arabic, and was overwhelmed by the dialect. And after I came back from Egypt, I was able to completely shake off the dialectal things that I had learned.
Okay, I'm saying that because a lot of students, they think, if I want to learn Arabic, I have to be in an Arab country, I have to be in Egypt, I have to be, and they think they're going to benefit from the people in the street speaking the Arabic dialect. But I told them that it's not the country or it's not the people in the street that's going to help you, rather is your teacher and your classmates who speak Fusha, because there is no country in the world that speaks Fusha really. So this is why I told them you should even in Canada or America or France, you can learn the Arabic language at the same level than someone who goes to Egypt, because you can benefit the same way, with your teacher online by you being in your Western country, than the teacher or the student that goes to Egypt and learns there, because he doesn't benefit from the surroundings of people speaking Ammiya and dialects. Would you say that that's a correct approach?
Yes, my view is that the best place to learn a language, to learn Arabic, is a non-Arab country.
You think it's better?
It's better. That is the best place to learn Arabic, is a non-Arab country. The moment you go to an Arab country, you because as you just now mentioned, Arabic is not a spoken language in any country. Nobody speaks Arabic. They speak the dialect. But classical Arabic, you can read the newspapers and all. But nobody speaks classical Arabic except in what should be I call, except in the news bulletin.
News bullets.
Yeah, bulletin.
Or in the newspapers?
Newspapers also, and the TV program news bulletin.
Okay.
That is the only place where classical Arabic is used. Even in conversation and dialogues, they speak. They don't speak classical Arabic, but news bulletin they have to. You follow me? In even news bulletins, the numbers are said in not pronounced in the correct Arabic way. Yeah. So Arab countries don't help you to learn the language. Yeah, but you can in your room, in your class, in your school, you can create a classical Arabic atmosphere. You know, people speaking Arabic with recordings and yes, you can create. That's how we did here in Islamic University, the Arabic program. We used to have programs, recorded programs and notices in classical Arabic. Yes. And first of all, we had the Egyptians, but later on, we found that they spoke only their dialect. Teaching students, that means when the student, sometimes, the student says something which is not Arabic, classical Arabic. I told him it is wrong. He says, how can it be wrong? The teacher says this. So,
so a lot of students in the West, they actually listen to a fatwa that Shaykh ibn Uthaymeen, rahimahullah, he was asked what books to start with when learning the Arabic language, and he said Al-Ajrumiyya. And a lot of Western students, they hear this and they go straight to Al-Ajrumiyya. So of course, you need to understand who the Sheikh is talking to, and there was mostly an Arab audience. Would you say that that's correct, or they actually have to start through books like Al-Ajrumiyya?
When I was teaching at the Islamic University, Americans came, students, and when there was a student who sat in the class for one day, and at the end of the day, he came to me. He said, I have come here to learn mutun. Yeah, this is nonsense. What you're teaching is not mutun.
Like mutun, like aqidah mutun, or
no.
Lugha mutun? Okay.
Yeah, Ajrumi.
Okay.
Yes, we want to learn mutun. This is nonsense. The Sheikh probably was speaking to the Arabs. The Arabs, they have to learn as their system here to get by heart, certain grammar books, mutun, like Ajrumiyya and all that. Ajrumiyya, all the gist of Ajrumiyya is in my book. What is Mubtada? It's all there. So learning Ajrumiyya for a student, as I told you before, nobody learns a language with the help of a grammar book. Yeah. What we learn is through applied grammar. Yes. So the Europeans and Americans and all, they have got a wrong notion of learning mutun. They have to learn the language first, and then they learn the mutun if they want. Yeah. You can't go on, kalam wa namr lafdun kastaqim, Malik. If you live, what does he understand from this? And how will you learn the language?
So, how my approach when it comes to teaching the Arabic language is I focus massively on memorization of vocabulary in the beginning. I tell the students, as you said earlier, that it's very important to learn that the Arabic language is learned through repetition and habit. So I told them that minimum you have to repeat tasrifat like ذهب يذهب إذهب ذهاب at least 250 times until it's memorized. طاولة طاولات أو غرفة غرف, and make them repeat غرفة غرف غرفة غرف 250 times until you memorize that. I think that those students, for example, the Arab students, the reason why Shaykh ibn Uthaymeen would say to start learning al-mutun is because they already know all of these words, غرفة, غرف. So would you say that is a correct approach? Memorize a lot of vocabulary in the beginning with applied grammar, as you said, like very simple things of grammar to help you build simple sentences, and then later on go into the details of actual grammar and all the different fragments, as you said, from al-mamnu' min as-sarf and the different chapters of grammar?
See, the smallest unit of a language is a sentence, not words. So the word should be learned in a sentence. So just words, the word can have different meanings. But when it gets into the sentence, the meaning is fixed.
Okay. Based on the context.
Context, yes. The word, yes. So always, and I always say, like as you said, when a student learns a noun, he must learn the plural. But there are a lot of plurals, but he should be taught only the plural that is being used. For example, in my book I have got maridun, marda.
Right.
One of the teachers there, he said miradun. So I said it's wrong. Miradun means al-uyun al-mirad, eyes which are sort of sleepy and all that kind of thing. So that is a technical or literary word. The word which is used in the Quran also marda. So we teach them the most used plural. So kitabun, kutubun, rasulun, rusulun. And with the verb, he must learn the bab, madi, mudari, and masdar. Because most of the Arab is a nazala yanzulu. Because it's Amiya, they speak yanzulu. They don't know. In their textbooks also, Arabic textbooks, they don't teach abwab. So we want to teach, when we teach, we must teach with the Madi Mudara. Kataba yaktubu kitaba. دخل يدخل دخول دخولا أو دخول جلس يجلس. So we don't teach him only the past, present, and the masdar. With a noun, we must learn the plural, most used plural, only one. Yeah.
Okay.
Also, with regard to nouns, it's better to say هذه نار, هذه يد, هذا رأس, with هذا and هذه, because he doesn't know the gender. But it will be difficult for him. So from the beginning, when he learns a noun, he learns with هذا or هذه.
To differentiate.
Yes, differentiate. So it becomes part of his system when he says هذه نار, هذه عين, هذا كتاب, هذا دفتر, هذا بيت, هذه دار. You know what I mean? I went to a school in India. They were teaching my book. So the lady teacher, she said, هذا بيت. I also taught them هذا دار. I said, wrong. Dar is feminine. If you know the things, you teach, otherwise.
So Sheikh, what makes the Medina books, what would you say makes them different to other books, like other books that have been authored that many people use? I think the most commonly used are Arabi bin Yadayk, Kitab al-Asasi, perhaps al-Qura program, and Malik ibn Saud as well, the Arabic program. So those, I would say, with the Medina books, I would say those are the most common programs that Western students go through. What would you say that makes the Medina books different to those others?
That is, I have followed in Medina Arabiya Baina Yadayk, some book, I forget. The first sentence is, "Ana min Pakistan." This is wrong. it violates my rule, تقديم الأصول على الفروع. They teach them with سكون, تسكين. أنا من Pakistan. But if they do it with proper ending, أنا من Pakistan, you teach the rule, secondary rule, before teaching the primary rule. It should be أنا من اليمني, أنا من العراقي. In the second lesson, you can say I'm Pakistan when he learns the other thing. But our first sentence I have seen in the book, أنا من Pakistan. And they don't use the tahriq, they say أنا من Pakistan. That is also, as I told, is wrong. One of my rules I have mentioned here is ta'liq, is to قاعدة الوقف. We don't use قاعدة الوقف. In the Quran, okay. But in teaching Arabic, قاعدة الوقف. هذا كتاب. The Arabs are all of them. They said هذا كتاب is wrong. This is هذا كتاب.
So would you say in the times of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu and the times of the Arab, would they use the whole tanween?
No, of course the rules of waqf there.
الوقف موجود يعني.
ما موجود. But we have to suspend the rule when teaching the language. Because if you say هذا كتاب, هذا محمد, هذه آمينة, you don't teach him the basic thing that Aminatu is Mamnu Manassar. But if you have got a separate subject, if you say هذه آمينة يا أخي, something like that, it doesn't come at the end, so that will be okay. Yes. But the rules, grammar rules, we don't teach them grammar rules separately. It should be part of the teaching. It becomes part of the language system. So you do not teach how. See, I had a student. I was his student. Was doing PhD in Arabic, and I was his guide. He said he wrote Masajidan in his. I said, Masajidan, you are going to pass out PhD, and you are a doctor. His question was more problematic than his writing. He said, why is Masajid Mamnu Manassar? So that is because of the system. Because of the system.
Because they don't teach that in the beginning.
Yes. It should be language as a whole. It should be taught as a whole.
So I wanted to ask you, Sheikh, where do you listen? Where do you hear? Because to me, it was an honor. I did put a lot of effort in putting together Andalus Institute. I spent a whole year by myself in my grandmother's apartment, trying to figure out, just as you said, through my experiences and what I faced, on how to put a program online to let students just like me to benefit and learn the Arabic language. So where was the first time you've heard about Andalus Institute and what I was putting forth? Where was it and how did it happen?
Recently, by chance, I happened to watch your programs. And there I saw you speaking, and I think with a student who was from Somalia.
From Guinea, maybe.
You studied at the Islamic University?
No, I didn't study. I studied in Al-Azhar.
So that's how I first. You said that learning Arabic from zero to
Fluent. Okay.
It was. I forgot. First of all, you wrote to me last year, but I forgot your name. But recently, I saw one of your programs, and
No. So I wanted to show you, Sheikh, the program and explain to you what, how, our approach basically, and you perhaps can comment and say if you think that something could be different or better. So first of all, the student when he joins the program, he has access to this portal. So first of all, there is something we call the guide to discipline, because something that I have seen with a lot of students is that they don't know how to be students, not even students of the Arabic language, but how to be students, how much to sleep, how much to eat, how much to speak, who to be with, companies, all the different efforts and sacrifices you need to give in order for you to be a successful and efficient student. So we show them how to discipline themselves. Then on module number 1, we teach them how to read and write, and all the videos and all the lessons are based in this manner. For example, so here, guys, so here we have the letters vowelization. So here we have al-harakat, the different harakat. So I teach them ba, ta, e, b, t, the same, very common way on how to teach how to learn, how to read. This is the same way that I've used myself. And again, like all of this program is based on my experience, my own experience. Then
I'll show you. My system is with regard to letters. Letters, Arabic letters, with regard to the letters of the student, or of 3 categories. They fall into 3 categories. One is completely identical. Arabic words identical with his language, letters of his language. Secondly, similar but not identical. Thirdly, completely different. So in this system, I use the first of all, they are identical. The student learns very easily because they are identical with this language. Secondly, similar, and at the end, I put the totally different.
okay.
This is one principle. Second principle is letters without vowels are dead letters. You teach them from the beginning, ma, mi, mu. You follow me?
Right.
You don't say meem and then. Yes. So, from the beginning. And then third principle, the examples I give after 2 real living words. When you teach the Arab system, they say Asadun, they teach Hamza. 1/3 they want to teach, 2/3 are non-known to the student.
So
Yeah.
1/3 of the.
Hamza, he is teaching Hamza,
Okay.
but he uses the word Asad. Seen he doesn't know, Dal he doesn't know.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But here, the words which has already learnt.
Okay.
I teach him La, but he has learned Meme in the previous lessons.
Yeah, he has already.
Yeah. Yes. So, these are the three principles, giving them the threefold division.
Okay.
Secondly, what I said, with vowels. Oh, third, the example should be from the words already learnt, from the letters that he has already learnt, rules and letters that he has already learnt. There is a similar book which is called At-Tibyan, and it is available in Amazon.
Do you have author?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
At-Tibyan.
So yeah, that's the first module. Then the second module, which is the most important one, is here is where I focus a lot on vocabulary. The whole of this module, on average, the student learns 7,000 to 10,000 vocabulary words.
MashaAllah.
So I focus a lot on vocabulary. However, every single lesson, there is 64 lessons, and every single lesson has what I call an essential lesson. So for example, this essential lesson is Damair al-Muttasila. And then, for example, if I go to lesson 35, he has another. This is locked as well. If the student didn't complete a lesson, it doesn't allow him to go to the next one. But for example, in lesson 33,
You have a test, for example.
Yes, a test as well. Then he has Huruf al-Atf, for example, in lesson 33. So little by little, as you said, the whole Medina books is pretty much all the content of Al-Ajrumiyah. So module number 2 as well, you have all the content of Al-Ajrumiyah, which is, very simple grammar things. Then apart from these, on module number 2, every 5 lessons, we test them on the vocabulary. We ask them, what does Tawila mean? What does Nafila mean? What does Masjid mean? What is the plural of Masjid? What is and we ask them as well, Masjidun, and then we ask them the plural, and he says Masajidun many times. They say Masajidun. We tell them, Masajidun, you sure? And then they say, oh no, Masajidu. So we do focus as well on the Mamnu'at min as-Sarf, etc. Then after lesson 6, he is able to attend what we call the weekly conversational sessions. Weekly conversational sessions are Zoom meeting calls with myself or with other instructors. And here we basically focus on only conversation with the vocabulary they have learned in the week. It's 4 hours in the weekend. So we tell them, for example, okay, Osama, speak about this image. What do you see in the image? Speak in Arabic. And they make a lot of mistakes throughout the process. Then after they speak for 5 minutes, we tell them, okay, you've said Hada Surah. You don't say Hada Surah. Remember, we spoke in this lesson, you say Hadihi Surah. And they say, oh, okay, yeah, that's true. And then little by little, we correct all of their little mistakes to try and make them make less and less mistakes in their speaking. So this is the weekly conversational sessions. The student only can access this after lesson 6. So he can have a little bit of vocabulary in order for him to practice. Then after every lesson as well, we have an lesson assessment, which is from exercise book that we've put together in the program, which is this books right here. It's Daftar al-Tadrib, which is just questions based on those lessons. Now, in the lesson, they actually the book we use for vocabulary is Al-Arabiyya Bayn Yadayk. You don't use the actual exercises or tamareen or anything, just the vocabulary. In order for us to give them, okay, Aina means where. Tusalli, salli, salli, salli is salah. Al-Fajr it means these. Limada means these. And we give them more and more and more vocabulary until they are able to have a good rasid lughawi, and a good amount of vocabulary. So then every 5 lessons we test them يعني شفويا orally, and every lesson kitabiyan. So they get 2 different types of tests. As well, in every lesson there is an oral assessment, shafawi, and they respond to certain questions with an audio, and that audio is sent to my teacher who actually taught me Arabic. He's a PhD holder in Darul Ulum in Egypt as well, Egyptian teacher, and he listens to the student say, respond to those questions, and then he records himself listening to the audio and send him back the tasihat of his pronunciation, tamareen or whatever it might be. Or if he says, for example, Suratun Hadi, then he might tell, okay, the correct organization sequence is Hadi Surah by default, etc. So then this module number 2, very simple. On average, the student in the middle of this module, he is able already to converse and already to speak, and he is able to have a good amount of vocabulary. Then the essential lessons is for Nakira wal Ma'rifa on lesson 17. So little by little, we show them. And all the lessons as well are all in Arabic. After lesson 6, I teach only in Arabic, and I only use words that they already know. So here.
هذا الدرس نتكلم عن النكرة والمعرفة. النكرة والمعرفة. ما معنى النكرة وما معنى المعرفة؟ أولاً النكرة.
I show myself here, and then everything appears.
هو اسم أو هي اسم أو يعني مسألة النكرة اسم يدل على شيء غير معين. نعم غير معين. ما معنى معين؟ معين يعني specific.
So here, if there is something is hard to, I know the student is hard to explain to, am I saying in English? Just as you say, to point out specific things.
نعم اسم يدل يعني يخبرك عن شيء غير معين مثل ولد وكتاب ومدينة.
So here they already know اسم دل يدل على شيء غير, all of these words they already know. معين I know, they don't know. So I might say it in English so they understand.
هنا مجالس هذه أسماء غير معينة لا يملكها أحد ولا يعرفها أحد ممن يسمعها. ولد كتاب مدينة جالس. أما المعرفة فاسم يدل على شيء معين. اسم يدل على شيء معين. طيب يعني يخبرك عن شيء معين. والمعرفة 6 درجات أو 6 أنواع. جميل. أولا عندنا الضمير معرفة. طيب لأنه يدل على شيء معين.
So this is the whole that's explaining.
معرفة لأنه من.
So this is for the grammar lessons. As for the vocabulary lessons, So here I know that they don't know عناية, but they know اهتمام, they know الرعاية أيضا. طيب. So here is the text of العربية بين يديك, and the words that are مميزة, all of these words I know they don't know. So we read everything, and when we reach a word, I explain to them what's بطني. I might do like this, هذا البطن, and then I explain them the whole lesson. الطعام, the mother prepared the food. الإجابة عكس السؤال. أنا أسألك كيف حالك؟ أنت تجيب. الإجابة أنا بخير، هذه إجابة. كيف حالك؟ سؤال. أنا بخير، إجابة. بهذه الإشارات الطالب يفهم، حتى وإن لم يعرف معنى الإجابة، لو يعرف السؤال أقول هو يعرف السؤال ويعرف معنى عكس، فبذلك يفهم. And then at the end I explain them one by one every single word what it means. يتعالى تعالى تعال متعال متعالا، يهيئ هيئ تهيئة مهيئ مهيئ. هيأت الأم الطعام للضيوف، وأعدت الأم الطعام للضيوف، يعني to. And I give them a small synonyms حتى so they have more رصيد لغوي. Prepare. هيأ أعد to prepare the food, for example. أعد الله لهم. أعد الله لهم. Allah prepared to them, for them, this thing. طيب, let me find you an ayah. Allah says in the Quran, Surah Al-Baqarah, فَإِن لَمْ تَفْعَلُوا وَلَن تَفْعَلُوا فَاتَّقُوا النَّارَ الَّتِي وَقُودُهَا النَّاسُ وَالْحِجَارَةُ أُعِدَّتْ. It was prepared. أُعِدَّتْ لِلْكَافِرِينَ. So here a lot of students, they perhaps don't know through an ayah يفهم الكلمة. Okay, and they are able to make a connection in the meaning. So here's the verbs that I explained to them, and then in the beginning I give them nouns. حسب الشيء. حسب الشيء I explain them ما يكفيه. كامل كملة وكاملون. مسرف مسرفون. وعاء أوعية أو أواع، يعني إناء وأوان. And like that I give them, my main focus in this module is for them to learn a lot of vocabulary. And then lastly they learn, we actually learn al-ajrumiyya in module number 3. In module number 3 we learn al-ajrumiyya علامات الفعل. إذا الأجرمية
لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. أما بعد، مرحبا.
Nice, with a nice design so they can understand well.
فإذا قلت قد قامت الصلاة،
then I give them these slides
يعني
so they can
أن
review.
الصلاة قد اقتربت بقرب قريب جدا.
وهنا المعاني المختلفة لقد، التحقيق